Over the past few months, I've talked a little bit about Smallville, a show that growing up really interested me in the Superman mythos, and yes, while I am well aware, as everyone always points out when the show comes up, it definitely did go its own way. It definitely did do a lot of things that were very, very loosely inspired by source material and just kind of adapted to fit the show. But that said, I think it was a gateway for a lot of people to be interested in superheroes, and especially in Superman. Coming out at a time where all you heard online was, Superman's a boring character, Superman sucks, he's too perfect. I think Smallville was a breath of fresh air that got younger audiences who might not have picked up a Superman comic or even gone to see a Superman movie because of these constant complaints. It got them interested in the character, and for a lot of us, like me, it got me to go on to read more comic books, watch more of the movies, and be more invested in who Superman was. So when the news came out that there was a potential animated revival of Smallville, that essentially you had different creatives, like some of the original showrunners, you obviously had Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum, talking about this and saying essentially that they had been sitting on a pitch and working on different things for a Smallville revival to continue the series. It was something that interested me because I had a history with that series. It's something that impacted me a lot growing up. But that said, it does appear that any progress that may have been happening on that series has, at least for now, stalled, and that it is not moving forward, at least at the moment. So that's something I wanted to take a look at in a little bit shorter of a video today. Just this update on what's going on with Smallville. Is it in trouble? Is it ever going to happen? Is it not? I have my own thoughts on that, which I will share with you here, just regarding WB and how they've treated a lot of projects. But I do have a question of the day for you, which is, what would you want to see from a series like this if it continued? Or, alternatively, if you're not interested in this, what is one DC series you would want to see revived? Like for me, I would pick something like Justice League Unlimited or Batman Beyond in the old Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, DCAU universe. If I was going to revive one thing and it wasn't this, I'd pick something like that. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, here's the thing regarding the Smallville animated series. This was never confirmed as being something that was for sure going to happen. And that's something I want to stress and clarify quite a bit here. It was always a pitch, and it was always something that they had essentially said they were waiting for the right time to pitch. Now, I'm not going to go over every update that I've done in the past on this, but essentially you had at the time Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling, who do a podcast together. I believe it's Talkville, where they go over episodes in the past that they were on of Smallville, and they kind of talk about it. Well, they had talked a little bit about saying that they had pitched this idea to each other and that they had pitched it to other people who had been involved in the series in the past. They had gone on to get the support of the original showrunners, a lot of different things like that. But they had said that they were waiting for the right time to pitch it to WB. Now, that said, there was actually a update very recently with Smallville co-creator Alfred. Now, here's the thing. I think his name is pronounced Go, like Vincent Van Gogh. Could be Goff. I'm the king of pronouncing things wrong, so you can let me know in the comments down below. But he actually did give a little bit of an update regarding this, and he said the following. Warner has obviously gone through a lot, and I think the fact that they are in the process of rebooting Superman again, kind of unfortunately, I think, keeps our thing off the table for a bit. And he was on the Talkville podcast when he said this. Everything comes around in one form or another. I just read the other day that they are rebooting Buffy for Hulu. And that's the thing. I think the problem with most projects in development in any studio and or any network is regime change. And this is very true. So essentially, a lot of people are taking this as it's canceled, it's not happening, they pitched it, and WB shot it down now and said, no, actually, we're doing James Gunn's Superman. You and Henry Cavill, get the hell out of here. Like basically any other Superman, on the side that is not the new reboot is never going to happen. And I don't really think that's what happened here. Like, from my understanding of what's going on, this has not really been pushed yet. it's something where, you know, I do think that there is like a respect angle here too, because Tom Welling did say in the past that he and Michael Rosenbaum had tried to basically to contact WB. They had tried to pitch it to them in a way, and that no one was really returning their calls. And to me, that's kind of a respect thing, where I personally look at that and I say, these guys helped build up Superman for many years on TV, you know, back on WB and then the CW and all this stuff in live action. Like, during a time when there wasn't a lot of Superman stuff going on, they were helping push the brand. They were helping push recognition for the character. They were helping get that off the ground. And so to me, for a respect angle, you at least tell them no if you're going to tell them no. Like, as a studio, that's what I believe. But that said, something that's interesting that you've heard about probably a lot is the Hollywood no. The idea of, oh, this is a great idea, this is a fantastic idea, we'll get back to you, and then they ghost you forever. That's a real thing in the entertainment industry where they just ignore you. And so for me, when I'm looking at this and I'm looking at basically what happened, the timeline of events seems to me to be, they went through, they got ideas, they did a poster, they already said they did a poster. They've got the original showrunners back on board, who I believe worked on season 1 through 7-ish, about there. And then there were some issues with money and some issues with finances where it was like they hadn't been paid for some stuff. And I believe that different showrunners came in at around season 8. Ironically, I really like season 8 through 10. Some people don't, but regardless, that's kind of what happened. You had, obviously, Michael Rosenbaum left the show. He didn't come back until the finale. And it was something where Tom Welling continued on, finished the show, eventually donned the tights, and, you know, that's kind of where it ends, right? But then, you know, they did their pitch to each other. They got original cast members back on. They got original creators back on. They call WB. WB doesn't answer. WB basically is like, okay, yeah, piss off. But they don't say it. They just don't answer. And to me, that's where I think the respect angle comes in, which I talked about before, is obviously these guys didn't create Superman, but these showrunners, Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum, all the people who had a lot of big impact on the character, I do think that they matter and that they do deserve respect from the studio. But that said, I don't think they ever got to the process of fully pitching it. I think it was like, we're gonna call to pitch it, and there was never really a response. And now it seems like it was something where, this is speculation, but it does seem like something where maybe the original showrunners started to get a little bit more involved in trying to pitch it. And it was kind of like, not a no, but we're not really going to answer right now because we're rebooting Superman. Now, that said, there is another version of Superman actively ongoing, which is the animated My Adventures with Superman. So it's not like they're not doing anything with Superman outside of the reboot. But we do sadly know that one of the reasons out of many that the Superman and Lois show didn't continue, essentially, you know, because that was canceled, right? We do know that the reason that didn't continue, or one of them, was essentially that they didn't want to do too many Superman versions at the same time, which is also allegedly why things like Henry Cavill being teased in Black Adam and then the universe rebooting are why you didn't see Henry Cavill's Superman return. Right? Because it was like they wanted to just go a new direction, restart their universe from scratch almost, and just go from there. So it's kind of this weird thing with the regime change where I think you have some versions of Superman that slid through acceptably, some that were canceled and pushed out because they didn't want too many, and now you have one that wants to come back from a show from many years ago, and it's just kind of bad timing all around. Now, the good thing is, like the Ash versus Evil Dead revival that has been pitched in the past where it was animated, when it comes to animated, you don't have to worry about these people aging. I mean, the worst that could happen, and God forbid this happens anyway because they matter as people, is like something happens to Tom Welling or Michael Rosenbaum or somebody, in real life, like they pass away or something. But like, you don't have to worry about like them being too old, you know, unless something happens to their voice or they pass away. It's animated, right? You don't have to like look at a live action of these people. So it's not something where that's an issue with time, but I do think that as time marches onward, it's unfortunately something where we get further and further away from Smallville. And I do also wonder a little bit about the direction of the reboot, because if I remember correctly, I believe that on an episode of Talkville that Michael and Tom did say that they didn't really read the season 11 comic books, which is not really a big deal. But I will say that when these characters were brought back, when, you know, this Clark was brought back along with Lois for the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, the executive producer at the time, Mark Guggenheim, had basically said that they considered those comics canon to that Clark coming back for Crisis on Infinite Earths. So then it makes me wonder, like, well, would you do something with those comics? Would you not? If the people making this revival didn't read them, what do we do with that? You know, like, I just kind of wonder on some creative questions, what would happen here with all of these? Like, would they just kind of be retconned out? Would they be pushed off to a split timeline where it's like, after season 10, one direction is the comics, one direction is this revival? I don't really know. And for me personally, I don't really have my fingers crossed too big about the revival, not because I don't want to see it. It does matter to me, but because of how WB, at least the previous WB regime, treated a lot of their talent. And even now the new one is ignoring the calls, essentially, or at least was months ago, of talent in the past who had made the previous regime partially successful. You get what I mean? It's like the last regime was pretty disrespectful to their talent, but the new one isn't exactly inspiring confidence to me, because if you can't even answer the call for someone who did make you a lot of money and a lot of popularity in the past, or at least made the guys before you in charge of your company that, I don't know. It's just not something where I like am really hopeful about it happening, but at the same time, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it does happen, and hopefully it's very good. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on all of this. If you enjoyed the video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, appreciate that very much. We have a Fortnite code that goes to help support our channel. Lots of DC characters are coming back to that. We have Amazon affiliate links in the description where we have lots of different lists, cool stuff like that, superhero products. And we have my favorite thing, which is cosmobunny.shop. That is our store where we make coasters, keychains, trays, and more out of recycled paper from comics, manga, magazines, and more. These are basically books that are unable to be sold because they're damaged. What we do is we take the paper that is undamaged or savable, we transform that art through a new medium into something new, like coasters, keychains, trays, etc., and we recycle the rest. So it gives new life to this stuff, maybe put something new in your home, keeps things out of landfills, and we all have a great day. Speaking of that, I hope you have one. Have a fantastic one, that is. And as always, everyone, stay shui.